Hey, Magic Man here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a game in a ship that I have yet to feature on my channel, which is the Tier 7 Russian cruiser, the Shchors, and it's basically a less armored Bajoni with an extra gun turret. Essentially kind of how I view this ship. It does have a great rate of fire, 7.5 second reload. Still got the same 152mm guns that you had on your previous ship at Tier 6. Now, this is actually a stock ship with the exception of I have the range upgrade on here. And these Russian cruisers, since the release of the French cruisers, I've noticed are basically just better long-range HE spammers than the French line. I honestly don't know why anybody would play the French. I'm not quite sure what they're very good at. They kind of fit into a space that was sort of already taken by the Russian destroyers in the long-range HE spam. Now, this ship you definitely have to stay at range in, especially in the unupgraded version of this ship, which is what I have here. The rudder shift is something like 9 or 10 seconds, so it's pretty poor. But when you're around 14 to 16 kilometers, it doesn't really matter that much because it takes so long for the shells to get there. You'll have time to dodge out of the way. I am firing at one of the new additions to the game, the first Italian cruiser, and they seem to be fairly fast and maneuverable. Land a really good volley on him there, and it's pretty easy to hit these shots at long range with these guns. They do have a very quick travel time for, being 15 kilometers out. But that's just one of the strong points of the whole Russian line. One of the drawbacks to these ships, though, and even this one, is the Citadel location in these ships is a little bit above the water, and your Citadel is basically from the front gun turret all the way to the back gun turret. And it's huge. You have a huge Citadel. And you don't really have the deck armor to bounce battleship shells at your tier, because Tier 7 is unfortunately where all the battleships start getting 16-inch guns, and those 16-inch guns are going to overmatch your deck armor, which is unfortunate. So you really got to try and dodge battleship shells, because if one of them hits you on the deck, it's probably going to go through and straight into your Citadel. That's why if you're running away from battleships and they pin you through the back, usually ends up with the Citadel. Now I'm trying to hit these destroyers, but I wish I was just a tad bit closer. About 12 or 11 kilometers would be a much easier range to hit them at. Now, one thing I do like about the Russian cruisers is that they have the spotter plane consumable. So right now, if I wanted to, I could increase my range out far enough to actually hit that Colorado that was sitting out there, and there is another destroyer. These guys are real pain the whole game. That Benson and that other destroyer that I just spotted there have been working together and will continue to work together the whole game. They'll just be a giant pain. And there you see, got a fire started. The fire chance on these guns, I believe, is 12% or something like that. But because of how many shells you have, you're going to set a lot of fires, basically. And especially given the rate of fire that you have. And you're going to see this carried up all the way up until you get to the Moskva. And then for whatever reason, the Tier 10 Russian cruiser decides it's going to change over to something closer to a battleship than a light cruiser. But right now I'm just trying to help stall this push that the enemy's making on the northeast side of the map. The great thing about the speed of these Russian cruisers, most of them go 35 knots, some of them go even faster than that, is you can get around the map very quickly, and especially with this long range you can really help on really any part of the map. You know, if you move yourself over into a corner and then you see you're needed elsewhere, you can quickly redeploy, and because of the long range you can usually shoot at somebody the whole way, which is great for supporting your team. Now I'm looking at those torpedoes coming in at that Benson. I'm really hoping that he doesn't take one, because sort of need him alive to be over here to spot destroyers. And I have no idea where the 2 enemy destroyers are. I'm hoping that they're over here somewhere. Yeah, and one of them pops up. Unfortunately, it's behind this island, so I can't do anything to help out our Benson, which is unfortunate. And that's basically just a sign of a good destroyer player. He knew that Benson was low, so he hunted him down and killed him. And he did it in such a manner that nobody could really help him out. And that really sucks, because we're going to need some definite spotting. That's what was really keeping the enemy destroyers sort of back and in the middle of the map, was the fact that they were in a possible position to get spotted, but now that's not the case. And I'd like to shoot at that Benson, but he is unfortunately behind the island, and I do not want to sail through that gap, because it's going to set me up to be right in the middle of a bunch of enemies that I do not want to be in the middle of. So I'm going to continue to keep my distance and play it safe, because at this point there's no reason I should really throw my ship away, especially when our team has such a great ship advantage. You know, the enemy team has actually lost 5 ships as compared to our 1, and crap. I really wish I would have hit that shot. But unfortunately the Benson turned and slowed just enough where I didn't even hit 1 shell. And this Colorado is just sitting there like a dope for some reason. And this just shows you how you should probably be dodging shells. I'm a little bit further than my max range at 16.8, but it's still going to be very easy to dodge these shells, especially because Colorado has such slow shell velocity to begin with. But basically just going to turn and outsail his shells. Even as massive of a ship as the Shchors is, it still moves fairly quickly. And I'm trying to light this battleship on fire here. That's what I'm really trying to do. And you can see with the spotter plane consumable, your range actually extends out to, it looks like 20.2 kilometers, 20.1 is what the map's telling me, but I thought I saw there on my screen that it said that Colorado is 20.2 kilometers away, and I still had a lock on them, so that might be a little bit misleading. And we actually set a fire on the Colorado. And this is something funny with the new spotting mechanics. My spotting range is 20.1 kilometers right now, even though my range is 16.8. But thanks to that spotter plane consumable, it bloomed my detection out to 20 kilometers. So now pretty much everybody on the map can see me. And I'm going to have to stop firing if I want that to go back down. And actually, it just shrunk on its own just now. So that's kind of a weird thing. I guess the extra detection is on sort of like a timer. I don't know, I'll have to test that out some more. And this will definitely be the ship to do it in. But it kind of looks like this game might be getting closer than I would like it. The enemy team has pulled back a couple of kills without losing any ships, which is not good for us. And I really hate that when you target somebody, it'll automatically adjust your aim. Like that Fiji cell in front of me, so it switched targets, and then my next shot at that Colorado completely missed, even though I was aiming in the same spot I basically am now. So we've started quite a few fires actually, considering how few shots I've actually hit. You can definitely see the fire chance is right around, it looks to be right around 10% with all things factored in, because I've got about 80, looks like we're going to end up with 90 hits here pretty soon, and we've got 8 fires, so it's a pretty good fire chance. Especially considering that you actually have more than 10 shells on this ship. So that's what I'm saying. If you hit a majority of your shells most of the time, you are going to start a fire. And I'm moving in a direction where I can use some cover and also shoot at the enemy battleships. That destroyer tandem that was down by the enemy base has completely annihilated our push on their base, which is unfortunate. But they just ate a ton of torpedoes down there from the looks of it. And I'm going to try and hook some shots over this island for a while and maybe burn down this Mutsu. And we actually get another fire. So now we're up to 9 fires and a little over 90 hits, so it's a pretty good fire chance, all in all. You're definitely going to feel like you're going to be lighting a lot of fires as long as you're continually shooting your guns. And I really thought those back guns were going to get over that island, but not so much. And I'm switching AP here because it looked like this Fiji was going to soften up his angle, and I get detected right as he commits to his turn, but I don't think it's going to matter much. And I'm really surprised that I got 4 overpins there and I didn't get a single Citadel. It's really, I don't know what that was about. It seemed kind of funny to me because the British cruisers have a huge Citadel. I have a hard time believing that I didn't get a single one. So here's our Colorado friend from earlier. And I start 2 fires on him immediately, which has got to suck to be him. Didn't do any damage there, got a bunch of shatters, but looks like his anti-aircraft module soaked up that damage. Just kind of missed a little bit there, but it doesn't matter. He's going to take some torpedoes, and he is done. And that, yeah, that Ganiza now actually got a double strike right there. He killed that guy with the torpedoes and hit the Musu with his main battery and killed him, so congrats to that guy. That definitely sealed the enemy team's fate. I don't really feel like they have any chance of coming back now. And this is going to give me an opportunity to essentially just farm some free damage on this carrier, which thankfully I didn't really have to deal with any carrier planes this game because the Shchors AA on the unupgraded hull I think is rated at 22. It's pretty terrible. That's why I actually carry around the defensive fire consumable on this ship, because my anti-aircraft fire is definitely not going to save me. So I need something to sort of give me a chance to dodge. Now, once you get the upgraded hull on the ship, your AA rating actually gets pumped up to something like, I think it's like a 44 rating. You know, it's kind of respectable if you spec in to advanced firing training and basic firing training. You can get a pretty respectable AA rating, and if you pick up the AA module that extends your range by 20%, you know, you can create a fairly decent anti-aircraft bubble. You're not going to be as good as the American cruisers, but that's just kind of par for the course. But you can definitely be an effective AA ship, if not a great one. And this is pretty much going to be the game right here once this Tago goes down. Because I don't really feel like that destroyer is going to be able to bring it back by himself. And get some pretty good Citadel hits there. If you're about 10 kilometers or less from another cruiser, you can usually Citadel him with these guns. And there's the enemy destroyer. This should be pretty easy. Gonna switch back over to HE. And overall, Shchors is a pretty good ship. It's definitely long range. You gotta stay at range. If you get too close, battleships will focus you and you are going to die very quickly. This ship is incredibly squishy. And we actually get the Confederate medal. We lit a fire and got something else. I think that has to do with how many heroic achievements you've got. Not quite sure. But end up getting another little medal. Okay, so moving on to the results here. We actually got the Confederate medal and did 78,000 points of damage, which is, I don't know, kind of low for a Shchors game, in my opinion. But we did start 13 fires, got 162 hits, so wasn't too bad. This is definitely a long-range HE spammer, and you definitely have to play like it. If you get too close, typically every battleship in the game is going to target you, so you got to watch out for that, because you do not have a lot of hit points, and you take a ton of damage when you do get shot by battleships, because you just can't tank any damage. But we end up third there on the team. As you can see here, did about 10,000 points of damage to at least 4 different ships, so spread the damage around, and you know, about a third of our damage came from fires. The other part came from actual HE damage. But made a little bit of money. Tier 7's where you start really seeing the repair costs start climbing up. So it's not unusual to see this type of credit income. But anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Okay, so